The silver ships of the Talic Collective appeared without warning in Earth's orbit one quiet Tuesday morning. They hung in the sky like metallic clouds, their hulls gleaming in the sunlight as they positioned themselves strategically around the planet. The world's governments scrambled to respond, military forces went on high alert, and civilians stared upward in fear and wonder. Admiral Hannah Kim received the alert while reviewing defense protocols at the Underwater Pacific Command Center. She rushed to the main control room, where screens displayed the alien vessels from various satellite feeds. "How many?" she asked, her voice calm despite the situation. "7 large vessels and 23 smaller craft," reported Lieutenant Sun, his fingers flying across the holographic interface. "They're positioning themselves over major cities." Hannah studied the alien ships. They were beautiful in a strange way, sleek, curved vessels that seemed to bend light around their hulls. Their technology was clearly decades, perhaps centuries beyond Earth's capabilities. "Any communication attempts?" she asked. "They're not responding to standard frequencies," Officer Wu replied. "Wait, we're receiving something now." The main screen flickered and revealed a humanoid figure with silvery skin and large reflective eyes. Its head was elongated, and it had 4 long fingers on each hand. "People of Earth," the alien spoke in perfect English. "I am Ambassador Kresh of the Talic Collective. We come in peace and wish to establish diplomatic relations with your world." Within hours, an emergency session of the United Nations convened. The world's leaders gathered while the alien ambassador's ship descended to the landing pad outside the UN building in New York. Hannah stood beside General Tai and Captain June as part of Earth's military contingent. "We should show strength," General Tai whispered. "Deploy our fleet." Hannah frowned. "Our fleet consists of 12 converted cargo vessels and 40 fighters, hardly impressive against their technology." "Nevertheless," Tai insisted, "we should show them we're not defenseless." The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter had been Earth's mining frontier for nearly a decade. Small human outposts dotted the larger rocks, extracting precious metals and water ice for the colonies on Mars. These operations were modest but vital to humanity's expansion into space. 3 weeks after first contact, the Talic ships arrived without warning. Captain Jun watched from the viewport of the EDF Resilient as 5 alien mining vessels, each 10 times the size of his patrol ship, approached the largest human mining station on asteroid Ceres. Their hulls gleamed with that strange light-bending material that all Talic ships seemed to possess. "They're not responding to hails," reported Communications Officer Da, her voice tight with concern. "Try again," Jun ordered. "All frequencies." The massive Talic ships deployed what looked like mechanical tentacles that latched onto the surface of Ceres. Drills the size of buildings began boring into the asteroid's crust, dangerously close to the human facility. "This is Captain Jun of the Earth Defense Force. You are conducting unauthorized mining operations in Earth territory. Please cease all activities and respond." After the 3rd attempt, a response finally came through. The screen showed Commander Mrek, a Talic officer with darker silver skin than Ambassador Kresh and a jagged scar across his face. "Earth territory." Mrek laughed, the sound harsh through the translator. "These rocks were floating unoccupied in space long before your ancestors learned to make fire. If you wanted them, you should have done more than put tiny huts on them." Jun remained professional despite the insult. "There are treaties and protocols. Your treaties mean nothing to the morning sky over Earth's major cities darkened as Talic warships moved into low orbit. Their massive hulls blocked the sunlight, casting long shadows across terrified populations below. Emergency sirens wailed in cities from Tokyo to New York, from Nairobi to Rio de Janeiro. Admiral Hannah stood on the bridge of the EDF Defender, Earth's largest military spacecraft, though it was tiny compared to the alien vessels. Around her, officers worked with grim determination as reports flooded in from around the world. "They've positioned warships above every major population center," reported Lieutenant Sun. "Energy readings suggest weapons charging." Hannah's face remained calm, though her knuckles whitened as she gripped the rail. All ships, status report. EDF Resilient standing by. Captain Jun's voice came through. EDF Courage ready, called Captain Min. One by one, Earth's small fleet of 12 combat-ready vessels reported in. Each had been converted from cargo or research ships in the years since humans had begun exploring the solar system. None had been built for war. The main communication screen flickered to life, showing Ambassador Kresh's face. His silver skin seemed darker now, his large eyes narrowed with contempt. "Your time for decision has expired," he announced, broadcasting globally. "The Talic Collective has determined Earth's resources are necessary for our expansion. Your species may surrender peacefully and serve as a protectorate civilization, or we will take what we need by force." Hannah Lieutenant Jin stared at her sensor display in disbelief. The readings couldn't be right. She ran the scan again, fingers trembling slightly as she tapped the controls. "Admiral," she called out, her voice breaking the tense silence of the underground command center. "I'm detecting a massive gravitational anomaly at the edge of the solar system, just beyond Neptune's orbit." Admiral Hannah looked up from the tactical display showing Earth's desperate battle. For 3 days, her small fleet had been executing hit-and-run attacks against the Talic forces. They weren't winning, but they were surviving longer than anyone expected. "Show me," Hannah ordered, crossing the room in quick strides. The main screen switched to deep space telemetry. What appeared was a rippling distortion, like water being disturbed by an unseen stone. Stars behind it bent and twisted in impossible ways. "What is that?" General Tai asked, squinting at the display. "Unknown, sir," Jin replied, continuing to analyze the readings. "It's creating gravitational waves unlike anything in our records. Energy output is enormous." Aboard the Talic command vessel, similar alarms were sounding. Commander Mrek abandoned his attack plans and moved quickly to the science station. "Explain," he demanded, pointing at the alert signals. "We detect a spatial anomaly at the system edge," the science officer reported. "It appears similar to our hyperspace signatures, but far more powerful." "Is it one of our battle groups? Did the High Command send reinforcements?" "Negative, Commander. The signature doesn't match any Talic technology." Mrek's silver face darkened. "Then whose is it?" Back in the Earth Command Center, Lieutenant Jin's terminal suddenly lit up with an encrypted signal. Her eyes widened as the authentication codes processed. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the anomaly." Hannah moved quickly to Jin's station. The message was short, just 3 words. "Avalanche responding." For the first time in days, Hannah smiled. "Right on schedule." "Avalanche?" General Tai asked, confusion plain on his face. "What is avalanche?" "Not what, General. Who?" Hannah turned to the communications officer. "Open a channel to all Earth forces. Authorization code, Phoenix Rising." The channel opened with a soft chime. "This is Admiral Hannah Kim to all Earth Defense Force units. Protocol Avalanche is in effect. Fall back to secondary positions and prepare for Phase 2 operations." Across the solar system, Earth's battered ships disengaged from their skirmishes and moved into new formations. The Talic commanders, believing they had finally broken the human resistance, pursued with growing confidence. In deep space, the anomaly grew larger. The distortion spread across thousands of kilometers, bending light and gravity in ways that defied conventional physics. Then, like the parting of a curtain, something emerged. First came the bow, sleek, midnight black, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Then the midsection appeared, revealing weapon emplacements larger than entire Talic vessels. Finally, the massive engines slid into normal space, glowing with blue-white energy that no human or Talic scientist could explain. The EDF Avalanche had arrived. On the Talic command ship, alarms blared as sensors detected the new arrival. "Impossible," whispered Mrek, staring at the readings. "That ship is 3 kilometers long. His tactical officer looked up with fear evident in his eyes. "Commander, its power signature exceeds our entire fleet combined." "Get me Ambassador Kresh," Mrek ordered, his voice tight. Across the system, the human vessels had stopped retreating. They now held position, as if waiting. In the Earth Command Center, Admiral Hanna opened a channel on all frequencies: Talic, human, and international. "This is Admiral Hanna Kim of the Earth Defense Force," she announced, her voice echoing across space. "May I present the EDF Avalanche, humanity's flagship." On screens throughout the solar system, humans and Talic alike watched as the massive vessel approached Earth at impossible speed. What should have taken days took mere hours. Ambassador Kresh's stunned face appeared on the command center screen. "This is impossible. Your species barely mastered basic spaceflight." "A carefully cultivated impression," Hanna replied calmly. "We thought it wise to assess potential allies, or threats, before revealing our true capabilities." "You deceived us," Kresh hissed. "We protected ourselves," Hanna corrected, "as your invasion proves was necessary." The Avalanche slowed as it approached Earth orbit, dwarfing even the largest Talic warships. Its black hull seemed to drink in the light of the sun, revealing no details of its construction or technology. "Admiral," Lieutenant Jin called out. The massive hangars of the EDF Avalanche opened like giant black mouths along its hull. From within, hundreds of sleek fighters poured out, their designs unlike anything the Talic had ever seen. They moved with impossible speed and precision, forming attack formations that seemed to anticipate every Talic countermeasure. "All squadrons, engage at will." Admiral Hanna's voice came through clearly on all Earth frequencies. "Target their weapons systems and engines. Disable, don't destroy unless necessary." Captain Jun watched from the bridge of the Resilient as the new Earth fighters swarmed around the Talic fleet. His crew stared in amazement at the displays showing the battle. "Those are ours," Officer Dai whispered, watching a fighter accelerate at speeds their sensors could barely track. "They always were," Jun replied with a smile. "We just kept them hidden until now." The Talic fleet scrambled to respond to this unexpected threat. Their ships, so recently the predators, suddenly found themselves on the defensive. Commander Mrek shouted orders from his command chair. "Focus fire on their fighters. Launch all our combat craft." But the Talic vessels couldn't keep up. Their weapons, devastating against Earth's decoy fleet, seemed to pass harmlessly through the new fighters or miss them entirely. Meanwhile, precise strikes from the Earth craft targeted key systems on the Talic ships. The Avalanche itself moved into position above Earth, its enormous hull casting a protective shadow over the planet. From its forward section, a blue-white energy field began to expand, growing until it encompassed the entire planet in a translucent bubble. "Full shield deployment complete," reported Lieutenant Jin from Earth Command. "The Avalanche is projecting a defensive field around the entire planet." Ambassador Kresh stared at his tactical display in disbelief as his fleet's weapons fire dissipated harmlessly against the energy shield. "How is this possible? Your species was mining asteroids with primitive tools just weeks ago." Admiral Hanna's face appeared on his screen, her expression calm but firm. 20 years ago, we discovered something on Mars, ruins of an ancient civilization, technology millions of years beyond our own. We kept it secret, studied it, adapted it. We built the Avalanche and trained crews while presenting only our converted cargo ships to the galaxy." She leaned forward slightly. "We hoped first contact would be peaceful. We prepared in case it wasn't." On the Talic command ship, systems began failing one by one as the Earth fighters targeted crucial components with surgical precision. Emergency lights flickered on as main power faltered. "We've lost weapons control," reported a Talic officer, panic evident in his voice. "Engines operating at 30% capacity. Communications limited to short range." Commander Mrek gripped his chair arms, silver knuckles turning white. "Order all ships to concentrate fire on the Avalanche itself." The remaining Talic vessels turned their weapons toward the massive Earth ship. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes struck the black hull and did absolutely nothing. The weapons seemed to be absorbed by the strange material, leaving not even a scorch mark. From the avalanche's central section, a single beam of intense white light shot forth, slicing through space until it struck the ocean several kilometers from New York. Water exploded upward in a massive column, then fell back harmlessly. The message was clear. The avalanche could have targeted any Talic ship or the command vessel itself with deadly accuracy. This demonstration concludes our combat operations, Admiral Hanna announced on all channels. The Talic Collective will power down all weapon systems immediately and prepare to receive Earth representatives for surrender negotiations. 3 hours later, Ambassador Kresh sat across from Admiral Hanna in the Avalanche's conference room. Gone was his earlier arrogance, replaced by cautious respect. "You understand this changes everything," Kresh said quietly. "The power balance in this sector of the galaxy will adjust," Hanna finished for him. "As it should. Humanity seeks peaceful relations with all spacefaring civilizations, but we will defend ourselves and the technology you possess." Kresh couldn't keep the interest from his voice. "The collective would offer substantial, is not for sale or trade," General Tai interrupted firmly. "Nor will we discuss its origins further." The peace treaty was signed that evening. The Talic fleet would withdraw from Earth space immediately, all mining operations would cease, and diplomatic relations would reset under very different terms. As the Talic ships departed, their once impressive fleet now looking small beside the Avalanche, Captain June joined Admiral Hanna on the observation deck. "Do you think they'll return?" he asked, watching the silver ships shrink into the distance. "Eventually," Hanna replied. "But as trading partners, not conquerors." "And what about the other species out there? When they learn about the Avalanche?" Admiral Hanna smiled slightly. "That's why we're keeping some secrets still. The Avalanche is impressive, yes, but they don't need to know it's the only one we have." Captain June looked at her in surprise, then laughed softly. "The art of misdirection continues." "Always," Hanna agreed. "Our greatest strength isn't just technology. It's that no one knows exactly what we're capable of." As news of the confrontation spread across the galaxy through Talic communications, other spacefaring civilizations hurriedly adjusted their assessment of the Sol system. The species that had appeared primitive had unveiled one of the most advanced vessels ever witnessed, with technology that defied explanation. And who knew what other surprises they might be concealing?